Anybody can own it. What's neat about it is currencies in general are political, right? They're political because the people in charge get to print the currencies. The
Right.
people in charge want to make people like them. They're like, how am I going to make people like them? Let me give them more money. Let me give them more money. Let me build a bridge. Let me, and so political currencies often end poorly. Most currencies never last more than 100 years because governments fuck it up. What's cool about Bitcoin is it's not a current, like it's not a nation. Bitcoin itself is sovereign, and so no one gets to control it, and so no one can really screw it up. And so in 10 years there'll still be 21 million Bitcoin. In 100 years there'll still be 21 million Bitcoin. You can't print any more of them, and so as more and more people want to buy them, the price goes up.
So if someone wanted to get one, how would they inquire?
Well, there's a bunch of different ways to get one now. The simplest way is you sign up with a Coinbase account or a BlockFi account or a Gemini account. I'm sorry?
I use Robinhood.
Or Robinhood. You can buy it on Robinhood.
Yeah.
You can buy it on PayPal now. Pretty soon you'll be able to buy it on Facebook, probably in 2 months or something. And so, I'm talking to this guy, Bitcoin Zay. I'm like, listen, we should set up a brokerage, a black-owned brokerage for Bitcoin. So, his community, underserved community, or the black community can have their own place to make those guys wealthy. But right now there are lots of ways, and it's getting easier and easier to buy it. And my recommendation is buy some of it and just don't touch it. In a year, it's going to be worth more. In 5 years, it's going to be worth a lot more, right? When you're young, you're not supposed to save a ton of money. You're supposed to be having fun. But take some of your money and save it, and put some of those savings in real estate, put some of those savings in Bitcoin, put some of those savings in the stock market.
You told me, what did you tell me? You said spend. What'd you say? You said save half.
Yeah, I met Moneybag Yo once, and he was asking for advice. I said, all right, here's a really simple rule of thumb. Spend half, save half, and don't do heroin.
Simple as that. As simple as that. So, I mean, because I'm just speaking on behalf of the young generation that, they want to invest in stock. They have an idea of it. Or if you could give someone 5 things, say someone had $5,000, $10,000, you can give them 5 things to invest in. What would you tell them? What would you give them? Where would you tell them to put that money?
So first thing I'd tell them is do a little homework, right? It's not easy to make money. And so the best homework is find the person in your community that knows the most.
Right.
Gravitate to the person that's done the best. Usually the person.
But what if they don't have that? You got to think, because, where I'm from, in the neighborhoods I'm from, we don't have that person. We don't have that one person with that knowledge or any of that. We just, thank God, nowadays we have this phone, like, we have a kid who can be in the projects who can watch this live. So if they were listening right now and they just wanted to know where to invest their money, like if they have $5,000 or $1,000 anyway, what would you tell them the best thing to put their bucks in?
I'd put 25% just in Bitcoin. I'd buy Bitcoin. I'd forget about it. I'd put 5 or 10% in a thing called Ethereum. It's another cryptocurrency. And then I'd put the rest in the stock market. And I know the stock market has gone up a lot, but I think it's going to continue to go up a lot. And so in the stock market, you can buy what's called the S&P future. That's the whole stock market combined. Or you can buy a couple stocks. I'd be careful of the stocks that everyone else is buying right now, because what everyone wants to buy, you got to be a little bit careful. And so I'd probably put 25% in Bitcoin, 10% in 5 to 10% in Ethereum, and then the rest in the S&P. And it's called the S&P index, or just stocks.
Okay.
Because when you're willing to take more risk, right?
Right.
Buying bonds.
Risk are good though, right?
Risks are good. And there's times in the world when you're supposed to have a lot of risk on. This is one of those times because the government is making it easy for risk to go higher. The government is printing so much money. Like every time you read about, we're going to give everybody $2,000, we're going to give everyone $600, that just makes the prices of stocks and bonds and crypto go higher.
Right. Because it's making the USD weaker.
Yes. USD is going to continue to get weaker. Listen, we're in a scary part of the world, right? You saw it 3 weeks ago. We had a goddamn riot, right? The Capitol looked like the Congo. I'm like, what the hell? This is Washington, D.C., and it started looking like, we had a riot going on, an insurrection.
Right.
That's happening because the rich versus poor is just getting stretched so crazy. And so if you're on the crazy left or the crazy right, people are there's this instability in our country because the inequality gap is so big, and it's getting harder to figure out how we're going to get out of it. And so it's a very scary time in terms of both investing, but also in social stability, right? And you can see it, you can feel it. And we saw it on TV. We were like, what the hell just went on?
Right. Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%. I'm trying to think if there's anything that, because I remember, you know, it's so much more that you can. It's what are. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the most, because a lot of people that have no clue at all what cryptocurrency is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like,
Yeah. So one thing to do is, you know, there's unbelievable amounts of information on the internet, on Twitter. And so you can't trade or you can't participate in crypto without being on Twitter. You got to get on Twitter and you got to start following. You can follow me on @Novogratz. There's a guy named Anthony Pompolino, and there's Raoul Paul. There are tons of people, Vitalik Buterin and Joe Lubin, tons of people that write about crypto, that make it simpler, that take something complicated and simplify it. You can go, you know, on Google and search it, and there are videos after videos. And so, you know, you can't think you can just deposit a quarter in the machine and come back in a few days and it's worth $4. It doesn't work that way. So you've got to do it. But the homework is there. It's available for everyone. It starts on Twitter, but it's on the internet. And so you got to, you know, Google crypto and start reading about it. And it's pretty interesting.
Do your homework.
Yeah, you got to do your homework. There's no free homework.
Right. Okay. Well, I just want to tell, because like as we were just speaking on, I want to tell people about. You were talking about how important hard assets are. You know, like, you know, art and property and gold and you know, opposed to
yeah,
dollars really, because of.
Yeah. So right now, the best thing you can do as a young person is save enough money, make enough money, scramble together enough money that you can then buy a piece of real estate. Because the cool thing about real estate is it's the one area where banks will lend you a ton of money. If you're under a couple of $100,000, you get an FHA loan. So the government will lend you money to buy a house. Right? Real estate's a hard asset. And you want to borrow a ton of money now if you can, because rates are so low and the government's giving it away. Now, you don't want to borrow money for 3 weeks from some guy on the street at 12%. You want to borrow money for 10 years or 20 years from the government or from the FHA. And you want to take that money and you want to put it into real estate.
Exactly.
Put some of it into Bitcoin. But that's, if I was young, the first thing I'd think about is how do I borrow money from the government cheap, an FHA loan, and put it into real estate? Because then you got a hard asset. So then if inflation really does show up, my asset's going to keep up with the inflation rate. And that could be real estate. It could also be Bitcoin. Bitcoin's easier. The risk with Bitcoin is, it gets so tempting. You buy it at 20,000, it goes to 30,000. You're like, I got to sell it. I got to sell it. Right? When you buy a house, you're not going to sell it because you're living in it. And so if we really have this hyperinflation, which I think we're going to have, real estate's probably an easier way, even than Bitcoin. Now, the problem is real estate, you got to start with, the average house is a couple $100,000, so you got to have saved at least $10,000, maybe $20,000 to be able to get the mortgage, right? I think FHA.
You covering the mic. You covering the microphone.
Well, that's Mel. Sorry about that.
Okay.
And so, so it all depends on where you're starting from. But that's the other way I think about it, is if I'm just getting started, you want to buy some property.
Definitely. You know, that's important. It took me a minute to learn how much more important it is to own a property over leasing the property, because I didn't know. I didn't have anybody teach me, you know. So for you know, a few years I was leasing and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on properties that I wasn't owning, you know. Um,
Yeah, when you're renting, you're just giving someone else your money.
you're literally just giving it away, giving
And
it
so,
away. When I
but
could be
that also
buying,
takes
then
someone to
missing out.
teach you. Like, you're not
Right.
supposed to be 22 years old and know how to mortgage a house. And so, again, trying to get knowledge to the people that need it. It's on the internet. There are other people, but you gotta, that's the challenge. It's kind of why I'm trying to do some of these Instagram lives. But we need a much bigger structural education shift in economic education and financial education of people. It should get taught in school, in high school,